Hey everyone, welcome to Movie Films with Bill and Steve. I'm Steve.
And I'm Bill.
Movies talk, so let's talk movies.
Let's talk movies. So, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, 2016, PG-13, 151 minutes. Fearing that the actions of Superman are left unchecked, Batman takes on the Man of Steel, while the world wrestles with what kind of hero it really needs. So, directed by Zack Snyder.
Oh, that fucking hack.
That piece of shit fuck. He keeps trying to make Watchmen. It doesn't matter that I liked Watchmen. I thought Watchmen was a good film, and it was great. And he keeps trying to redo it. Keeps doing it again. How dare he?
I mean, Zack Snyder makes Zack Snyder films. And people have said that online like it's a negative thing, but I'm just like, great. I like almost all of Zack Snyder's films, So,
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. We obviously been talking about this film for a long time. Everyone's been talking about it a long time, because it's been in production for like 3 fucking years.
Yep. Well, they're rushing it.
Marvel built their universe organically over the last 9 years. That's why they're better. If you mean by organically making it, if you mean like making it up as they go and hoping everything works out,
then yes, they did do that.
It's been very well documented. That's what they've been doing.
They had to make a short film on a Blu-ray to explain the ending of The Incredible Hulk because they didn't think ahead to how that would make sense. They just wanted to put Robert Downey Jr. in The Incredible Hulk.
Yep. Shared universe, guys. They're building to the Avengers.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure that was their end game, but they didn't know how the fuck they were getting there any better than anyone else.
So, I guess spending a couple of years prep work and laying out your track and making sure everything fits well is rushing it.
Yeah. So,
speaking of rushing it and all this negative stuff, let's just discuss the elephant in the room first and foremost. The critical reception and reaction to this film has not been kind.
No.
Not at all. As of recording today, the film has a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, with an audience score of 72%.
Mm-hmm.
So audiences liked it. Clearly, this is the big discussion that it's gathering along the film websites and things of that nature. Audiences like the movie, critics hate the movie.
Mm-hmm. Just like every Zack Snyder film, really.
Well, in Zack Snyder's films, I guess with critics, it's always like in the 70s.
I'd argue it's more 50s to 60s.
Well, I've seen a lot of info on TV on 4chan leading into this. People kept posting infographics of all the Rotten Tomato scores. Most of them are like the 70s.
Okay.
That's usually high 60s to mid 70s. That's where a lot of his films seem to rest at. Which, sure, if that's what you want to, that's fine. A lot of his films are definitely stuff that isn't going to be the normal critic fare.
Mm-hmm.
Except Watchmen, I still think is probably probably because the source material as well. I would say probably still his best film.
Probably.
I mean, I still really appreciate 300 and how much he cared to make it replicate the graphic novel. And at that point, you're really just replicating the graphic novel, and I feel like you're not doing your thing.
Right.
So, for me, it's probably still Watchmen. So, I still always don't know why that film gets such a low score, but I don't know.
Me neither.
Oh, they changed the ending, blah, blah, blah. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. So, where do you think a lot of this is coming from?
Well, I mean, let me first say that there was definitely, there's a group of people that simply don't like this movie.
That's fine.
That's totally fine. There were just people that went into the movie, didn't know what to expect, walked out not liking it. I have zero issues with those people at all. This film is definitely not a film for absolutely everyone. I will never argue that. And, just like Man of Steel, it's somewhat polarizing.
Yeah, we've agreed on that since Man of Steel came out.
Yeah. And so that's fine. Anything that I'm gonna say has nothing to do with the people that, just went in and didn't like the movie. Mm-hmm. It's totally within your right. I support your decision. Thank you for seeing the film, making your own opinion. Period. But, on the audience side, I feel that there's a large group of people that have been rooting for this film's failure ever since they announced Ben Affleck as Batman. Or even ever since they announced Zack Snyder was directing it, because they already hated Man of Steel so fucking much. On the critics side, Man of Steel, I don't know, the tomato reader on that was like 56% or something like that. Let me actually make sure.
I think that's about right.
Yeah, I was actually completely right. 56%. So, I mean, already there's a big chunk of critics that didn't like Man of Steel, and going into Batman v Superman, I knew that there was definitely going to be a good chunk of critics that weren't going to like Batman v Superman. But, I mean, part of it is that people put too much dependence on the actual tomato meter rating on its own. Because if you actually look at the average rating, Man of Steel has a 6 out of 10 from the critics, not the audience. The audience rating is always higher.
Mm-hmm.
And Batman v Superman has an average rating of 5 out of 10. So, I mean, it's still lower than what I would give the film by a long shot. However, not the horrible critical failure that everyone thinks it's a piece of garbage movie like the internet makes it out to be. Because people look at the tomato meter and act like that's the score, when, like, anything over a 6.2 is considered a fresh rating. So, if every single reviewer just so happened to agree that a film was like a 6.3, which is not a bad rating, but not a great film, that would technically mean it's a 100% fresh!
Yeah, you'd get the stamp on the box.
Yeah, and, like, that's not what it is, like, at all.
Well, what gets me is people only seem to care about Rotten Tomatoes scores when it's a bad score.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, or when it's an unexpected score. I think it's, like we discussed before, I think it's okay in a way. Like, I still don't really give that much of a shit about Rotten Tomatoes, but I think we discussed before, like, when Fury Road came out, it was, like, for the longest time, had like 100% Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, a lot of critics were really digging it. And I thought that was neat. Like, that aggregator telling us. But then, like, the only time people actually give a shit about Rotten Tomatoes is in, oh, this big film that I want to fail has a bad score, so it's fulfilling my prophecy and my wish of a failing movie.
Yeah.
No one's talking about the fact that My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 has a 25%. Or London Has Fallen has a 24%.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Divergent sequel, like, it might have 11%. They don't care about those movies.
Yeah.
They only care about the fact that the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice has a 28.
Right.
It's just as bad, if not worse, than The Room.
It's like, no. The Room has less reviews and a lower score.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna sit here, this has gone around a lot. I don't know anybody that said this. I think it's ridiculous that this stupid tinfoil hat bullshit exists anyways. People are going around saying, oh, it's Disney, Marvel just paying off reviewers. They're paying them off to get bad reviews.
Both sides have said that.
There's no evidence of that.
Not only is that bullshit, but then there's also the Marvel fans. Well, maybe not necessarily the Marvel fans. I should just say the anti-Batman v Superman people, claiming that the only reason why the IMDb rating is like a 7.4 and that the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is over 70% is because of DC paying people to vote high for the film. And it's just like, no. Both of your sides are retarded. Like, neither of these things are happening. Just critics, for some reason, unanimously didn't like this film, nitpicking things that I don't know why they were negatives to the film, and just more audience members like it than dislike it, no matter what your brain acts like.
Yeah. Now, I will say on the Marvel side, though, there have been quite a few reviewers and reviews, not just that's dropped on Rotten Tomatoes or just other places, that do seem to give the film a negative review because it's not a Marvel movie.
Yes, that there were happen. A few.
And it's just like, it's, I'll
comic book movies are supposed to be fun. Like, no, not necessarily.
They're supposed to be bright and different and quippy and fun and, just adventurous and fast moving and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. This film is just not that.
Yeah.
I've said it before, like, while I usually am not a huge fan of Marvel Studios films, there's a lot I do like. And I will always say they're fun movies to watch in a theater. They're always great summer popcorn event films. It's good. Go see them. I've seen them all, except Ant-Man, just because I didn't make it out to it at the time. But I've seen majority of them, and I will sit here and say while I might sit here and say I didn't like it, I didn't think it was very good, I will never say I didn't have a fun time. Because they're fun, big spectacle films. There's things happening and stuff. It's always an interesting ride, no matter what. But I won't sit here and just try to say everything has to be like that. That's ridiculous. Things can be different. I mean, Deadpool was a very different film. Sure, it was more comedy, but it was also rated R. Did all this other stuff that a lot of people didn't think was going to work, and it turned out to be a great success. Actually, being like the highest-grossing R-rated film of all time worldwide. That's a pretty big deal. And so I see a lot of these critic reviews just immediately saying either they're judging it now based off of how Marvel films are now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Marvel films now have had 9 years of development and growth and, figuring their things out. So I don't, this might seem like a cop-out answer. I feel like if you would have put the same film back in 2008, 2007, I think there would be a much different...
5 out of 5.
I mean, people might say differently. People say, oh, the writing, this, that, whatever. Like their personal problems with it might still exist then. But I mean, a lot has changed over the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a case of some films that people like totally shit on now that if they were just released at a different time, or even then, like The Thing. The Thing is always a great example. It came out right after E.T. and it was butchered by the critics and hated by everyone. Giorgio Morricone's score for The Thing was on the Razzies that year.
Mm-hmm.
What? It's like there's always, but obviously later on people like realize, oh, people were just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, if
really
Spider-Man 3 released like 4 years earlier, I think people would have loved it.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man 3 came out after like Iron Man and The Dark Knight, right?
Maybe. No, I think Dark Knight came afterwards. I'm forgetting my years,
Okay.
but they're around that same area.
Yeah.
So, this is, I don't know. So I think to summarize our little discussion, I just don't think it's that important to take critic reception that into heart. Because I've seen a lot of people who talked about the critic reception, like, oh man, then they went and saw it, like, oh, well, they'll say, I didn't like it, but it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm. I saw a couple of people say that they think that they may have liked it more in spite of the critics, not as a planned thing, just they heard so much bad stuff about it from the critics that as they were watching the movie, they kept on finding them saying, like, oh, this must be where the movie goes off the rails and becomes dog shit. Oh, wait, no, this is still cool. And, like, because of their such lowered expectations by the critics, they loved the film even more.
Yeah, and if to put a pin in it, I guess, Rotten Tomatoes has janked scores all over the place for films that people consider some of the best films ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Or things like that. There's plenty of, and even for me personally, there's tons of films I love and I think are amazing, and they have terrible Rotten Tomato scores.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. Some films are just not meant for critics. Sometimes it's just not for them. They're not going to judge it like how an average person will judge it. And sometimes there's money in being negative.
Right.
I know it's true about everything, news pun and stuff like that, but I think that definitely can factor in sometimes here too. I don't care. It's in the end, I just thought it's something interesting to address, that how overly negative people have been towards the film right when it came out.
It's basically they wanted it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I think it was.
And like people have said to me, like, well, Steve, you, in response to me saying, like, these people wanted to hate it so bad that, of course, any negative review is going to bolster their morale and hating it, and then when they eventually see it, they'll talk about how shit it was and how they were right. And some people have responded to me saying, but Steve, like, you were looking forward to the film. Of course you were going to like it. And I'm just like, no, fuck that. I walked into Amazing Spider-Man 2 expecting nothing, loved it. I was walking into Winter Soldier expecting to love it, hated it. Like,
yeah.
my preconceived notions about a film, by record, has nothing to do with my end expectation result of the film.
Yeah, I went into, I think my most recent one that I can recall immediately was Men in Black 3. I went into that film like, oh man, it's gonna be good. I love Josh Brolin. I like all this stuff. And I walked out fucking hating that movie.
Ditto! Yeah, I was so looking forward to it. I was like, oh man, this is good. This has got to be better than Men in Black 2. And I walked out so angry.
Yeah.
So angry.
So, I mean, I think, my litmus test is always my wife. Because she does not subscribe to anything. If she doesn't like it, she doesn't like it. There's plenty of she doesn't like RoboCop. She doesn't like a lot of my favorite films. And all things like that. So she doesn't try to play the whole, oh, my husband likes it, I like it. She's a strong, independent woman. She liked it. So, I mean...
My wife is the same, and she also liked it.
Yeah, I was in a theater full of people. While I was walking out, I overheard a lot of people saying they liked it.
Our one buddy Ed, who hates everything, even thought this was okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I believe his quote was, fucking Thor 2 gets a pass and this movie gets shit on, what the fuck?
Yeah, I do have to agree. Like, Iron Man 2, both Thor movies arguably... I mean,
Winter Soldier, how does that get, its dick sucked, and this movie gets this?
I mean, Winter Soldier is a lot of people's favorite Marvel film.
I don't know how. But that's fine. I'm not gonna shit on them for liking it.
Yeah.
I will state I don't like the movie, but whenever someone says they like Winter Soldier, I'm not going to immediately make a comment going like, "Oh, go fuck yourself." As is what's been happening with this film, if you could not tell.
It's like when you post a picture of a dog breed. There's always somebody that jumps out of a bush to tell you should adopt.
Yeah.
That never fails. Anytime you post anything like, "Oh man, I really like this dog breed," boosh. Hey, you can't be getting a bunch of stuff. You need to adopt. I'm like, okay, I was just talking about how this dog breed looked cute. I wasn't saying I was buying a dog.
I'm not going to a puppy mill right now to buy this dog breed. I'm just
looking. I think this dog looked cute. Okay. It's which people have that logic. We're thinking about having a child. Oh, you should adopt. Let's see people do that. So let's move on. Move on from the Kuroki reaction. I thought we had to address it a little bit. But we are all about the power of positivity here. We like to just, obviously, unless the film's bad, but even then, we go into a bad film. Wanted to find the goodness in it.
We still list positives in the bad films. I think we've only had 3 bad films that we ranked 0.
It's true.
And even one of those zeros still had a couple golden parts of the film, but that's mainly because of Jim Varney.
I'm still really confused about Egypt, though. I haven't found out what's going on with Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
This film could have used Egypt, because apparently it's supposed to stop absolute power. Don't know how. God damn it. Egypt, Job! So, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Steve, what did you think of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice?
You couldn't pay me to see this film again because I've already given it so much money. And will continue to. Because it's really good. I like this movie a lot, Bill. I like this movie a lot.
I like it a lot.
I mean, it's not an absolutely perfect film.
No, of course not.
There's definitely a few things that I wasn't a fan of, or a couple things that I may have changed up to make it a stronger film. But, I mean, it gave me everything that I would want from a Batman-Superman film. I thought it was really good. I think it's continuing what I think is the best on-screen interpretation of Superman. Henry Cavill was born for the role. I think it's finally giving me the best version of Batman I've ever seen in a film.
That, I think, has been the outcome of this film. No matter what I think people felt about the film as a whole, there has been a tidal wave of positivity about Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah, I've only seen a handful of people that didn't like Affleck as Batman. Which, again, they're allowed to have that opinion, but I'm glad that in the very least, everyone, including people who didn't like the film, said Affleck was the bomb in Batman, yo.
Yeah, I totally. And I think everyone
This Batman's balls are so big, I don't know how they fit them into his suit. Finally, I get a Batman that I believe can go face-to-face with Darkseid and not give a shit.
There you go.
Because, the Nolan Batman, I remember when they made an animated cartoon where they had the Justice League with the Nolan Batman, and, when Darkseid shows up, he just starts fucking throwing up. Because there's fucking nothing he can do.
Nope, he's really just a dude.
But this Batman, fuck no. He doesn't give a shit.
No, not at all. No shits.
Wonder Woman, holy shit. I know that some fucking assholes that you can never fucking please will bitch about Wonder Woman being in the movie for 7 minutes. But goddamn, she steals every single second of those 7 minutes. She's my favorite part of the entire climax. As much of a Superman fan as I am, I didn't give a fuck about Superman as soon as she showed up. Didn't give a fuck!
I was heavily excited for Wonder Woman.
Gets punched in the face by a monster and then smiles. Yes, please.
Back fighting.
Also, spoilers, guys?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I would assume everyone knows when we talk about films, we're going to spoil the shit out of things.
In case we have new viewers.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
we didn't get
that's
going to
happen.
Yet, so there we go. Spoilers. You've been warned.
Yeah, though we're spoiler heavy, guys. Jeremy Irons is Alfred.
Oh yeah, spoiler, guys. Jeremy Irons plays Alfred.
Oh fuck! I didn't know that. Shit. My favorite Alfred.
Sure.
I mean, there has been no bad Alfred, honestly. Every single person who has played the live-action Alfred has all been great in the role for what that role was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Irons' Alfred is I'm gonna tell Bruce Wayne that he's fucking an idiot right now, and he's not gonna listen to me, but I'm not gonna back down.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I know Eisenberg has been very 50-50 with people, but I thought he was haunting as Lex Luthor.
I totally did. I told you that after I saw the film. It's like
perfect example of me. Like I did walk in expecting to like the film, not because I'm a DC blind fanboy, but because I liked Man of Steel and expected more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
No shit. But I did go in not expecting like what to think of Eisenberg. I wasn't sure what to think. By the end of the scene of him in the study with the senator, I whispered to my wife, like, he is so fucking perfect.
No, Steve. He's being wacky, and he's obviously crazy. That means he's just doing a Heath Ledger Joker.
Oh, okay.
I was talking to Rachel about this the other day. It baffles me how many people are saying that. And part of me is like, when's the last time you've watched The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Because he's not doing that.
No.
I hate anymore now that fucking performance is on such a goddamn pedestal that you do anything with anybody being, having a problem, having tics, clearly because clearly Lex's film has some problems mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And nope, he's just doing a Joker. I'm like, no, he sounds like, that character. I don't fully remember how old Eisenberg is, but I believe, from the film representation that, like, Lex is, like, probably, like, 26, 27.
Mm-hmm.
Or probably a bit old, not that much older than that. He feels like a young guy that's just, like, clearly from the film's hints that was in a somewhat either emotionally or physically abusive relationship with his father. And he's incredibly intelligent and smart, and he's now just, like, inherited, like, ownership of this major corporation. Throughout the film, they just have him having these little tics. His speech at his party at his house, I thought was fantastic.
It perfectly explains his entire motivations for the film. One of those things that people act like isn't in the movie, even though they directly say it to the audience out loud.
Yeah, I in general, the whole point, the plot of the film is just this, this walking nuclear bomb. Or flying nuclear bomb,
mm-hmm.
whatever you want to describe Superman, and this godlike
this
being,
handsome nuclear bomb,
not nuclear man, not
nuclear man
from Quest for Peace, mind you, but you have this like godlike being, and people having to deal with it. Like Batman's ideas destroy it, Lex's ideas also destroy it, but it also comes with this means of maybe also controlling it.
He has selfish reasons.
He has super like fetishization of power, and like even like the scene where he kidnaps Martha Kent, like the whole like having Superman kneel before him, he's just totally like, oh, now God bends to my will. Like he has this like total like need for power
mm-hmm.
over this like this being.
Yeah. I thought this Lex worked a lot because like suave president businessman Lex wouldn't work as well in this story of the film. Because, like, businessman Lex would not see Superman or Darkseid as something bigger than what he is. And this Lex super sees it that way.
Yeah, I like this.
Like, he's a bit overwhelmed by it, and that's kind of what drives his own psychosis and fears.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I think I want to state right now, it's okay. This is just a different interpretation of the characters. It's their version of them. Just like I think this has been said, and I think it's easy to agree. I don't think like Christopher Reeve's Superman would work nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
As Superman Returns showed, the critics loved and the audiences didn't give a fuck about.
Even the critics were really very lukewarm on Superman Returns.
Lukewarm, but
I do. Boring as shit. Jesus Christ.
Boring as shit. Jesus.
You want to talk about boring? I don't know how people. Well, we'll get into that when my likes as well, but. Just different interpretations of the characters. Like this is just their interpretation, which I think for this universe and like this world they're creating, I think this Lex is very appropriate for, and I dug it. It worked really well for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when there's moments where I was like, I might have some moments of, but at the same time it's like, no, this makes sense for the character. He clearly just isn't all there, and mm-hmm. I liked it. It wasn't trying to be like the anarchy that Joker's Ledger's Joker was. He was clearly had everything controlled, but he also would just want, like, obviously his grand plan was obviously planned out and going through, but like his just tics and conversation and like his inability, I guess, to properly communicate with people wasn't all there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he clearly had some sort of, like, he was clearly somewhere on the spectrum.
Right.
I think, anyways.
I agree.
And speaking to the haunting scenes, the scene in the study with the senator is great, and even just the small scene outside of the hearing room.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was good. I mean, like, there's always these little bits, but mostly the scene in the study when the senator's like, "No, we're not going to let you import your kryptonite."
Yeah, like his charm didn't work, and that infuriates him.
Yeah, you immediately see as soon as he tells him that like, there's just a click, and like he just his mannerisms and just his like I don't know attitude towards her just changes immediately from how to swooning her to okay, bitch, it's on.
Yep, I'm gonna kill you now.
Yes, which jumping a little forward here, the hearing scene I thought was very good and very intense. Just when she looks down and there's the jar of piss, Granny's peach tea. Talk a little bit there, and just seeing that, and then the wheelchair explodes, and then we're shown Superman is standing in a room with burning corpses, because obviously he's not going to be affected by the bomb. I thought that was pretty awesome, pretty awesome as in like a powerful scene. Like, oh Jesus Christ! I was not expecting that to happen. I thought something might happen, but not like a fucking wheelchair.
You know what? I really like that scene a lot. When Superman goes into the hearing room, he walks in.
Yeah, he walks in.
Like he doesn't float in. He's not being intimidating. He walks in like a man, and like
opens the gate with a hand and everything. And,
yep.
I like that a bit. So, we're talking about just in general characters. They obviously everybody, but I liked Amy Adams as Lois Lane again in the film. I thought it was a bit better than Man of Steel. I thought Man of Steel she was fine. I didn't have any trouble with her like everyone else did. I thought this film was good as well. Probably just a little bit better.
I think this film actually makes Man of Steel a better film because the way it addresses a lot of stuff and really shows the aftermath that you didn't get to see in Man of Steel. Yeah,
do you think this film might have a better audience reaction to it if the title was different? Like if it was just like Man of Steel Part 2? Because this film is clearly like really picking up and dealing with the same themes.
This is very much a Part 2. Yeah, like you could watch both of these back to back and it would feel like one movie.
Yeah, I think the issue with some people saying the film doesn't, or maybe it's not. It doesn't. I've seen some criticism that the film isn't a full film or this that. I'm like, well, it kind of isn't. It's also picking up right after Man of Steel and it's carrying over a lot of those themes and continuing to discuss and deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. The beginning of the film, beginning of the film, I really liked how, okay, we're obviously introducing a new Batman. Yes, we have to show Martha and Thomas Wayne getting killed. And I liked it because it was quick. It did not dwell on it too much.
Everyone was complaining that it was back in the film, so I'm also a very loud proponent of we don't have to see origin stories every single fucking time. But I was pleasantly surprised with how well it was done. It was quick. It was very nice to look at. It was probably the visually best version of Bruce becoming an orphan I've ever seen.
It was pretty good. You got Harry Dean Morgan, the comedian.
Such a good Thomas Wayne. I could absolutely see him dressed as Earth 2 Batman.
Oh, that'd be so sweet. I always like attention to detail. They made sure to put the Mask of Zorro as the film they're seeing.
Yes.
It's always good.
And that scene, people complain that it existed because we already know the origin, but that scene is important for reminding the audience of Martha.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of jumping around here. That's fine, I suppose, in our discussion. Another big criticism of the film, and I've seen a lot of people just shitting on it, but these same people didn't see the film. They were just told what it was, and I think they're just jumping on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the end of the fight between Batman and Superman, which we'll get to these other little setup bits here shortly, is the thing that kind of stops Batman from fucking impaling Clark's head on a kryptonite spear.
Good job, Batman. You won one out of the 30 of the fights.
Yeah. Finally got him, yes. You'll remember this moment. Because obviously Clark is trying to save Martha, his mother, who's been kidnapped by Lex.
That dick.
And he's finally got to the point he's like, if you're going to kill me, just save Martha.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was clear as coming off. And it's like, and Batman has to pause, like, why'd you say that name? Because obviously he doesn't know fucking Clark's mother's name is Martha.
Yeah.
And so then it runs in as his mother, and he has that moment where he pulls back. Now, a lot of people shit on this, like, oh, fuck, they stop fighting because their mom's names are the same. Well, the whole point of the beginning of the film, that nightmare sequence, is to show that he has these nightmares a lot.
Yeah.
It's been like, since he was like 81, so since he was a kid, he's been having these nightmares about his parents being killed. Mm-hmm. It's clearly a big fucking deal for him. Well, obviously that his parents were killed, but I mean that this whole thing is, like his father's last words are Martha and just everything else. So when that happened, I thought that when that happened at the beginning of the film and the leading episode, that was good foreshadowing. Like they made sure to establish this, show us this. I mean, I liked it. It didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, it was honestly one of my favorite scenes of the entire film because, like, it's not just it's the same name as his mother. It's the fact that's what Thomas said as he died. That was his father's last word. So clearly it triggered a flashback in Batman that probably sent his mind reeling. And what that scene fucking means to me is that that's when Bruce realizes that Superman is more than an alien. He has a human mother. Like, I don't think before that point Batman had really thought of Superman as anything less than a god. Like, Bruce himself deified Superman, and that's what he was and nothing but. So, realizing that was his mother, that humanized Superman, and helped push Batman to realizing how much he had been fucking up.
Yeah, and then, of course, he's finally able to figure out, Lex has been playing us, and all this stuff. Then we lead to the fucking badass fucking scene between Batman and the Russian and all these goons trying to save Martha.
Rock bottom! Rock bottom!
Stone cold! Stone cold!
So yeah, that scene absolutely worked for me. And again, that was let in, but from the opening fucking scene. Then we're cutting to the desert. Lois Lane being Lois Lane. Apparently that was Jimmy Olsen with Lois. They got shot in the face.
They didn't say his name in film. It was just part of the credits.
It's apparently in the extended edition. Zach,
I don't care.
It just bummed me out because I saw him and I immediately said oh, I bet that's Jimmy. That dude's a great Jimmy, and then he's dead. I'm just like, oh.
Well, sorry guys, sorry fans.
How is he going to become the Turtle? I thought that's what Justice League was going to be about, fighting Jimmy Olsen as the Turtle.
I guess not.
Fuck. Superman kicks ass and it's fantastic, and then he takes a bath with Lois.
That was a sexy scene with some blurred out nipples on Amy Adams.
Oh yeah, don't forget Bruce running into buildings collapsing like a fucking gigantic ball is dragging behind him.
Yeah, okay. So after that, then we have after the scene of Martha and Thomas Wayne being killed. I was on his side. I like my favorite thing about the opening was just going back to Zod and Superman's fight in Metropolis. Showing the repercussions of it, addressing it, just even showing the ship crashing and smashing through all the fucking buildings again. That was intense. But just Bruce gets there. He's trying to make sure everyone gets out of the fucking the Wayne building, and he's driving there. His friend Jack is trapped there, gets fucking killed when Superman and Zod crash in, and Zod discovers his heat vision powers, fucking collapses the whole damn thing, and just Bruce just runs into the fucking dust cloud like a fucking badass. Mm-hmm. Saves, lifts a fucking I-beam off a man's legs and saves a kid. Then it really starts just establishing then that how much oh man, this motherfucker, this red cape wearing motherfucker,
this piece of dog shit.
Just every time the camera just focuses on Affleck's face of just pure rage.
Pure rage.
I love it. It's so good. Conveys a ton. Mm-hmm. So then the film obviously jumps 18 months later. That's when the bulk of the story. I still feel like this film takes place over the course of a while. It doesn't feel like a couple days.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a little while.
Yeah, it feels like there's a good amount of time going on in this film, which is fine. I think it shows well enough, and I don't have any issues with that. Mm-hmm. Between the time they found the rock, taking time to bring the kryptonite to port, all that stuff. So the dream sequences. I want to discuss those. I felt one thing in particular I really liked. I liked them for the most part, obviously. We had the big notable one that was in the trailers was the desert scene, the post-apocalyptic scene. Mm-hmm. When he's trying to, when Bruce is waiting to decrypt some files from Lex.
It has become the apocalypse, because that's what showed up. Apocalypse.
Yeah, the planet just popped up.
The planet
Poof.
apocalypse. Poof, Higasm, Darkseid.
And then it's all blue and purple and Ivan Ooze looking.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, it's obviously hinting heavily towards Darkseid. I took these not necessarily dreams as weird premonitions.
That one specifically, because like when Bruce quote unquote wakes up, there's like papers and shit flying behind him, which to me is directly stating the Flash was actually just there. It wasn't a dream or a premonition.
Yeah, I was getting to that. Like, yeah. So obviously the post-apocalyptic dream is badass. Batman's fucking just
murdering the fuck out of everyone.
Loved it. Parademons show up. I was very surprised by that.
Very.
They were straight up parademons.
Superman melts a couple dudes.
And then is gonna fucking push his hand through his Batman's chest.
Jesus Christ.
And so then Bruce wakes up to
Son of Darkseid, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. Bruce wakes up to see a portal busting into his space, and there's the Flash trying to warn him, trying to let him know something that, that Lois, all this other stuff. He's like, oh shit, I came too soon. God damn it.
Fuck. You'll figure it out. You're Batman. Bye.
Yeah, that scene. Obviously, a lot of people have thought about Crisis on Infinite Earths when the Flash appears in front of Batman, like warning him about stuff. Mm-hmm. That scene is probably the most comic booky scene I've seen in a Marvel DC any film in a very long time.
Agreed, and I fucking loved it.
I very much loved it. It felt so comic booky. It's just establishing something that's going to happen later. And I was like, oh, what is this? And what is this? Like Flash and
I don't get it.
Because he wakes up and there's papers around. I fully believe that scene actually that bit was not part of the dream. It actually happened. And because of what happened, he just kind of was affected and went back to sleep or passed out or was knocked unconscious. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for why he woke back up.
Yeah, I interpret it as he wasn't it wasn't the Flash showing him something. That's not, although Speed Force, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. I think it was some weird wonky time travel thing that since Flash was coming back for a moment, Batman's consciousness actually went forward for a moment and saw that future that Flash was coming back from his own perspective. And then when he was done with that, basically, Flash came through to do his bit, and then when Flash left, again because of fucking time travel, and him going forward and Flash going back, Bruce just sort of literally lost a moment. And that's why it seems like he was just asleep, when in all actuality, he lost time because of that happening.
That could be. That could be. I'm trying to think. Obviously, there was not necessarily a dream, but I really liked the quote unquote vision, inner. I almost want to think of an inner monologue kind of situation when Superman is just kind of out in a mountain, just kind of trying to figure out his thoughts.
I loved that scene a lot.
Oh yeah, just walks up on Pa Kent, just putting some rocks, telling a story about. I think in a lot of ways more about consequence for your action and. Yeah,
I thought I was a hero, but I destroyed someone else's farm with my actions.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty...
Very powerful.
Yeah. And I think still in line with, a lot of people did not like Pa Kent from Man of Steel. I did.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I did. I still think it was a very realistic interpretation of, everyone's like, well, he's just making, being a shitty father, this stuff. No. He's being a loving father. He obviously cares about his son. He wants his son to be protected. He knows that his son is this fucking godlike being from space, and he knows people are going to react to it, and he wants to just instill, hey... I think people always misinterpreted what he was saying. The gist was always, hey, someday you're going to have to make a choice what you want to be in this world, and it's up to you to choose what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And people also took Martha's quote from the trailer, be their hero, be their icon, or not. You don't this world damn thing. It's they're still that thing. It's always going to be your choice what you want to do with your powers.
And that's what makes Superman so great.
Yeah, we hope that we instilled the ideas that you can do the right thing and be the symbol of hope and everything for the world. But it's not us to tell you what to do. It's your decision. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like that a lot. I think that interpretation of the Kents and their upbringing of Superman in this universe in our real world society, I liked a lot. I mean, I still have.
Granted, I think Pa Kent could have sent Clark to get the dog, and everything would have been fine. But otherwise,
I still hold by that. I know that was another thing people really.
No, I agree with his after making the bad decision of not sending Clark to get the dog. I agree with Pa Kent telling Clark not to save him from the Twister.
Yeah.
But I do think Clark could have saved the dog and not used his powers, and everything would have been fine.
Yeah, but I think in Pa Kent's defense, he knew that Clark would be better off
saving his wife.
Mother. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You save your mom, because he knows if anything's gonna happen, Martha, the best place for Martha to be is with Clark.
Yeah, agreed.
What the fuck is he gonna do? What's Paul Kent gonna do if he just fucking is like tornado fucking just suddenly hits them or something? Like, they're fucked. But with Clark, at least he knows that she's gonna be safe. I thought that was my first saw the movie. I knew that that's what the case was, and then everything after that was just purely like his stubbornness in a way of just like no. You stay there. You can't do this.
Yeah,
if that's what he says. My father died. Believe in all this stuff, and I thought that was another great Kevin Costner pop up here again and kind of just for the audience, tell us this. Have the character here we know that tell us a story, even though it's obviously all just taking place in Clark's head as he's trying to figure everything out, and he's recalling a story that was told to him by his father.
Right.
I call that part the Vision Quest, and I really liked it. Again, felt super like a comic book.
Yep.
This film itself felt super like a comic book.
Completely agreed. It is one of the most comic booky films I've ever seen. Can we talk about how cruel Batman is? Batman is a big old asshole.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like bringing up again, no, Batman doesn't kill, which Batman always kills. Don't fucking believe the hype.
I wouldn't say always, but it's not a new thing.
Well, it's not like an everyday thing, but he has since day one killed people.
Yeah.
So he's always killed people. It's just he doesn't do it all the time. Whether it's a matter of this argument pops all the time. This whole point of Kingdom Come in a lot of ways, like the idea of who do you hold responsible when Batman doesn't kill the Joker, just puts the Joker in prison, then the Joker breaks out and then kills people. Is Batman responsible for those deaths? That's a similar thing. That's a big old conversation. Mm-hmm. We saw it happen when Magog killed the Joker.
Yeah,
and did not work out well. Yeah, but it's also led to quickly establish that this is the new thing. Alfred talks to Bruce about it. It's like, hey, it's like heavily implied that Bruce didn't used to do this.
Yeah, he outright says, nothing's changed, and Alfred's like, motherfucker, everything's changed. And he outright says, the Metropolis, men flying in the sky that can burn everything. And he's basically implying that Superman appearing made him feel powerless and turned a good man cruel. He says that.
Branding people, and he does say that perfectly, and that's why he doesn't care. And I think the idea that even if that wasn't, I think obviously branding and being super violent and stuff, I think is definitely a part of it. But I still believe that this Batman doesn't necessarily have qualms with killing people. I
think this Batman isn't directly killing people. He just doesn't give a fuck. Because again, he outright says, how many good guys are left, how many stayed that way, Jason Todd dying in front of him. Barbara is in the wheelchair. I believe it's been stated a couple times that, Barbara in this universe is already Oracle. So he's already dealt with that. The alien that killed his employees and made him feel obsolete and powerless. These are pretty good human reasons why he would become blinded by rage and become much more reckless with criminals. I don't know why everyone has an issue with this. Do you need Zack Snyder to literally guide you every fucking step because you're too stupid to make your own conclusions?
Yeah, I agree with that. This film is, like when we talked about Safe and some other stuff, there's no hand-holding here. It's left for your interpretation, and the pieces are put out there, and I followed it pretty well, and I enjoyed it. And this is also a Batman that's been doing this for 20 years. This is 20 years of just fucking fighting off criminals and all this other stuff.
Also, I think this is Batman without Tim Drake.
Yeah, you think so? It's probably just Jason Todd in this universe.
No. What I mean is just what I'm saying is like Dick doesn't call anymore. Batgirl's in a wheelchair. You lost Jason Todd, but Tim hasn't shown up yet. This is Batman worst case scenario, and the perfect example of why Bruce needs a family. Mm-hmm. This is what happens when Bruce is left to his own devices, and it's just him and Alfred, and he's slowly getting crazier and angrier. Versus when you have Dick and Tim hanging out with him. That lets Bruce sit on the couch with a sick, like Jason Todd or Tim Drake, take off the suit and say, Gotham will be fine tonight, and just watch cartoons because Robin has the flu.
Yeah.
Without that, this is what you get.
That's fair.
At least, that's how I looked at it,
Yeah, well, I mean, has it been firmly established that there's a Barbara and a Dick Grayson in this universe?
Barbara, yes. Dick, question mark, but he's a very popular character, and I don't think that they would give up on making money with that character.
That's true.
But Barbara is confirmed. What's her face that was cut from the film? Warner Brothers did let slip that she was playing Barbara Gordon.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. That's good to know then, because obviously there's a lot of stuff that's cut from this film Not like a lot, but there's the DVD coming out. I think people are thinking July. We'll
July,
have 30 minutes of additional material. It'll be rated R. I like a lot of people shitting on that, but it's like, no, if there's more violence, it's going to put MPA will just slap an R on it. It's like they're trying to be edgy.
Yeah.
That they made the film, and that's what they got. Anyways, but yeah, Batman is a lot more cool for all these different things. I think you have a good point there, not having that another child figure or just family member really to help.
All the optimism in his life there's no more optimism left. There's not Dick cracking jokes. There's not Tim, being a kid and lighthearted. There's no light in his life right now.
Mm-hmm. So from this, I liked after the Senate hearing or whatever bombing, a lot of people complained that this wasn't an actual fight scene. I actually really liked for what it was. How after it, you just show Lex pulling up the LexCorp, like there's a fucking security building on fire, bullet shells everywhere. The case where he kept the kryptonite rock is fucking ripped apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like Batman after seeing what Superman what a lot of people either think Superman did nothing about. There's a lot of questions flying around about what Superman did, happened there with the bomb and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think all these things leading up to it just pushes Bruce to the edge, and Bruce just goes on a fucking rampage to steal this kryptonite back from Lex Luthor,
which Lex wanted.
Yeah, totally.
I also want to say, since the scene happened before when Bruce took on the fucking Russians and his Batmobile was all fucked up by Superman. This is the most Batman has ever been on screen. Everything's perfect. And also I really liked all of the conversation between Alfred and Bruce about the whole going to war against this guy.
Yeah.
It's so
20 years of promises.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
No, I'm trying to, just hitting a lot of points here, obviously, because the film has a lot of big things going on it. For a boring film, there's a lot going on here.
Oh, it's boring. Where's the plot?
I understand slow burns not being for everybody. I dug everything I was saying. I was down for the story. I was down for slight, here's Gail Gadot, here's Diana Prince, here's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. We keep showing little glimpses of her, and she, what she's going on there. Bruce is really questioning, who is this person? Mm-hmm. And then we find out who this person is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I dug it.
Dug it a lot.
Totally. So, yeah, I just love the scene where it's you don't see him breaking the LexCorp, you just see the aftermath of it. Mm-hmm. I like stuff like that, because you just see how fucking badass shit was here. Bruce was so pissed, he just fucking just tore in here to fucking steal this rock and start forging weapons to fight Superman. Mm-hmm. And then he dons his badass suit of armor, and which I like to believe he has always had, because I like to think that when he fights things like Killer Croc or other
Clayface or
Clayface like that, he needs to have armored suit. So it's one of those cases where I think this is something he's always had.
Yeah,
sitting around. But with that, I like the voice. I like how they really quickly show in the beginning of stuff.
Oh, it's a microphone, yeah.
Bruce. Yeah, it's a voice modulator. So it's not him just making the Bale voice. It's an actual thing changing his voice.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I totally liked it. So suit looks badass. Looks like a dude in a clunky suit. Just trying. He fucking built his best way possible to fight this fucking god from space.
That shove that Superman gives him, though, greatest beginning to that fight possible.
Totally.
Just such a clear, you go fuck yourself, buddy.
So, as we mentioned, Lex gets Superman to fight Batman for him by kidnapping Martha. You can ask the question of how Lex found this all out. I'm sure it's never hard.
Yeah, that's been a few people's problems. How did he find out? It's just he's fucking Lex Luthor. If Lois Lane can figure out the Clark Kent of Superman with some journalism, you really don't think that one of the smartest men in the world with unlimited resources can't figure it out? Well, they didn't show it. Again, do you need your hand fucking held? Him calling him Clark is supposed to be a oh shit moment, not a we need to waste 15 minutes of him doing all this research, even though Wonder Woman has sent an email from Lex's computers of him studying all fucking metahumans that he knows of. It's just fucking... People complain about films holding their hand, and then also complain about films assuming you're not an idiot and can figure stuff out. And it's just, I don't know, what do you want? What do you want? Can't have it both ways.
I need my quips.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This one had jokes in it. I liked them. But anyways, so the fight, we can talk about the fight, and the fight was great. It was short. Some people complained it was short.
Before we get into the fight, can I say that another one of my favorite moments is Lex's entire conversation with Superman before the fight?
I liked it.
Holy shit. And again, like, you already brought up the whole him, like, making Superman, like, get on his knees in front of him and stuff, but, like, everything, it was so good. Everything about that scene was good. That was perfect Lex. It was just...
Mother of a demon is a witch.
Yep.
And what do you do with witches? You burn them.
Burn them. Just, holy shit, yes.
I just love the fucking, like, kitchen timer.
Yes!
It's like, when you first got here, an hour. Now you have less. That's great.
That's so good.
I'm down for all of
and
this.
I really like that Superman went to Lois first to be like, hey, just to let you know what's happening, because I care about you and you should know, I gotta go convince Batman to help me, otherwise I have to kill him. Okay, bye.
Bye. I don't like Superman being all broody. And hey, guess what? In this film, he actually saves people. Did you guys know that?
Yeah. Oh, no, let's not talk about that.
Anyways, so the fight obviously is picking up a lot of stuff from The Dark Knight Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got of course the big like sound wave stuff that he stops.
Turret guns.
Shot up by guns. Yeah, when he walks up to Bruce, just fucking like taps him and like blasts him back.
I lost my shit.
I did too. It's just like, and Bruce like this like.
Jesus Christ! I definitely underestimated this.
Good thing I have my suit. So then obviously they're battling and stuff. Go to the roof, gets knocked on the roof into the bat signal. I liked it. I assumed that this was the old Gotham, GCPD headquarters.
Nah, Batman clearly just picked that up and took it with him.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I could believe either, but the building looked very like...
It could go either way, you're right.
Like, it was like, obviously, it was just out of use. So, it's out there. There's the usual drop the smoke, distract, shoot the grenade full of the kryptonite, tear gas.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Superman catches it. Then it's just a matter of just beating the shit out of him. So, Weekend, gotta do what I can.
And then as soon as he stops the first Batman punch, again, I'm just like, there you go! I mean, this is exactly how this fight goes.
Yeah, when he's downstairs punching him in the face, and then his jaw tightens up because obviously he can take the punch. And just that look of when Batman starts backing up a little bit, and then gets thrown through a wall and stuff.
I really liked the moments of oh shit, that's right, kryptonite is not a permanent solution, and he has a really good healing factor.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment of the entire film, pretty high up there, if anything, is when he weakens Superman again. He's beating him up. My thoughts were, how angry is Batman? So angry that he rips a sink off of a wall and smashes it over Clark's head.
I did lean over to my wife and said, this fight has everything in it, including the kitchen sink.
It does. He's this...
So mad!
Grimace anger on his face. He just fucking rips his sink off and just smashes it, then throws him down a balcony. Ties the, grapple gun around his ankle and just, drags him.
Yes.
To the spear.
After
he swings him through columns.
Yeah, it was a brutal fucking fight.
It was. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
They did completely delivered what I wanted in terms of Batman v Superman.
I agree.
There are people complaining that the fight was dumb. Those people are stupid.
I thought it was pretty spot on what it should be. You have this man who's weakened, but still very invulnerable to most things. And Batman is
doing everything he can.
Gassing himself out, just fucking pummeling this man, and using what little I would have my going into this film. I would have appreciated it more if there's a first confrontation somehow.
Yeah,
this was done in one of the Justice League animated films where it's just Batman throwing everything he fucking has at Superman, showing how useless it is.
Mm-hmm.
I would like that just as a Batman, gadget guy, showing the, all sorts, stuff, exhausting his utility belt, trying to figure out how to stop Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I would like that, but this is fine, what it was. It's good to wait, for their, big confrontation to be, kind of part of the finale of the film.
Yeah.
Something in the final act of the film. And then from this, I thought the fight scene between Batman and all the Russians, which we saw part of it in the trailer, I thought that entire scene was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Just showing how good of a combat is. I like how the suit clearly is made of a Kevlar material, how people are shooting at it and it's deflecting bullets, but it can't stop a knife. And I appreciate how he pulls the knife out and stabs it in the other guy's shoulder.
Yes.
You motherfucker.
So good.
How dare you.
That whole scene was fucking great.
It was great. It was the most Batman fight scene I've seen in a live-action Batman film.
This is my favorite Batman movie now.
Oh, totally.
Like, and like, again, people were complaining about Batman killing, but except for the guy he shoots, and even that, I feel you could argue you could absolutely say he's just very badly burned, like Will Ferrell, in Austin Powers. Most of the people are, like, consequential, which has absolutely happened. Like, realistically, Batman is killing, like, 1 to 5 guys at a time every time he fights. He's dodging bullets, he's, like, throwing guys off of roofs with stuff tied around their legs. Like, if the cops don't get there in time, he's dead. Goons shooting the other goon by accident, they're dead. Like, anyone that dies in this film either goes through the same stuff as the guys in the comics do and survive, or it's a consequential action of the criminals themselves.
Yeah, like the guy pulling the pin on the grenade and Batman just, like, knocking it out of his hand.
Yeah, or Batman trying to destroy the turret and that exploding with the guy on the turret, like...
Yeah, I mean, or just, like, who cares? Hey, these guys are in this car. I'm gonna use this car to stop these other car. Like, whatever.
Yeah, like, I'm not a huge fan of brutal Batman, but it's 1,000% less offensive in this film than it was in the Tim Burton movies.
Yeah, it's not him strapping a bomb to a man's chest and then smiling as he knocks him down a hole.
Mm-hmm. Or, like, murdering a guy at the top of a bell tower for no reason.
Or, having a like, mechanical, like, piston underneath the Batmobile that lifts it, turns it around, and then sets a clown on fire.
Or even the Nolan Batman never shut the fuck up about his one rule to never, ever, ever, ever kill anyone. Yet in Batman Begins, he blows up and sets on fire an entire building full of prisoners and League of Shadows people.
And one man that was, like, tied to a chair
or
something.
And he murdered Ra's al Ghul. Like, everyone's like, well, no, he just let him die. Like, go fuck yourself. He murdered him. That's what killing someone is letting them die. This Batman was brutal, but at the end of the film, not only is he visually shown to now change his ways again, but he outright says, yeah, I kinda fucked up, guys.
Yeah, it's not like he has a handgun, he puts it to some guy's head and says, fuck you! and or dodge this.
Nice shoes, faggot! Whoa, Batman.
Whoa, that's goddamn Batman.
No, well, it is the Frank Miller Batman, so he would say that word. But no, yeah, like, he's brutal as fuck, but I'm sorry, I was saying all that leading into that even with him being as brutal as he is, he's still incapacitating way more than consequently very badly hurting or killing any of the goons. Like, he's still knocking them out.
Yeah, like, post-apocalyptic dream Batman is killing people, like, with the machine guns and handguns and stuff. This Batman is, like, immediately throws down the little things that, like, disables all their guns. He's moving down there. He's, like, just, like, obviously trying to disable bad guys, which, fuck, Batman in the Arkham games does that.
Yeah, everything he did in that scene is what you can do in the Arkham games. Including put an explosion next to someone and blowing them up. Oh, they're just knocked out, though.
Yeah. I like when he shot the grapnel gun into, like, a man's shoulder.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah.
So speaking of, like, major, like, final, like, fight scenes and stuff, of course, this was something I do agree. Well, even the second Civil War trailer kind of spoiled a lot of shit. I do agree the second Dawn of Justice trailer did spoil a bit too much in regards to Doomsday showing up.
I do agree Doomsday not being in any of the trailers would have been much better.
Much better. So he shows up. Obviously, he's kind of a bizarro kind of situation. Although if the film talks about, and this was something that was discussed, I think, in one of the tie-in comics to Man of Steel, or if not, like one of the earlier drafts of stuff, how Nemec, the giant Kryptonian, was apparently a remnant of experiments that were which they kind of talk about, I forget the exact word in Dawn of Justice, but kind of like
an abomination.
Yeah. Like, it's like tying into that, and that stuff is supposed to be like a hint towards Doomsday and like stuff back in Man of Steel times. And I actually, knowing that's behind the scenes stuff and things like that, when they talk about the ancient abomination, all this stuff, and Dawn of Justice, like, oh, okay, that's really cool. They're going back to those ideas and talking about it again. Like, clearly, the creation of Doomsday is something that the Genesis Chamber and like all the information of Krypton they know about.
Yeah,
and so that is what Lex is specifically creating right now. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just some weird, like, amalgamation thing. He just happens to get, which it makes sense too. Is like, I'm going to kill you. This is your Doomsday.
Yeah.
I thought it worked. I think we're in a realm now of comic book films where outside of, I think, the grievous misuse of the Mandarin in Iron Man 3,
Yeah.
I think we're at a point where it's okay if there's some slight changes into a villain to make it work for your film.
Agreed. And, Doomsday in the comics was a half Kryptonian abomination made by scientists on Krypton. Now it's a half abomination created by scientists on Earth.
Yeah.
It's still with Kryptonian technology. I don't see there's not a big change.
But the character of Doomsday is not, fully represented.
Go fuck yourself. Doomsday is a terrible character. He just punches hard. That's the one thing he does, and it's totally fine to get him out of the way in the second Superman movie. We did not need to save him, because he doesn't matter. He's just something to punch, and I thought he was used perfectly in this film as something to punch.
As something to punch. I totally agree. And speaking of punch, my, second favorite part of the film is when Superman comes back to the ship to confront Lex. And when Doomsday's popping out and stuff, Doomsday goes to hit Lex.
To kill Lex.
And Superman stops the punch.
Yep. Great moment.
And then obviously takes him, and then they're all thrown out of the ship and everything like that. I thought that moment was tiny. I'm sure many people missed it. I loved it.
Loved it.
It shows such a clear change in, how things have come since Superman's first day on the job back at the first battle in Metropolis.
18 months
Battle
ago.
of Smallville.
Well,
18 months ago,
plus the time in Batman v Superman.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
The finale of Man of Steel, the Smallville Metropolis battle, shows how much he's come from then, where it's not, he knows what to do now. Obviously, he does not want to have a repeat of what he did to Zod.
Mm-hmm.
That still affected him. He doesn't want to kill if he doesn't have to. Even with the fight with Batman, he's clearly not trying to kill him.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make him stop trying to fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And trying to explain that, what the fuck's going on. But, yeah, and when he takes him out there, he knocks him up into space. He's trying... A lot of people shit on this, too. The film explaining that there's no... the buildings are empty, or they're an abandoned part of Gotham, or they're on an island that's abandoned. I'm yeah, because you people bitched about that in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So now they made sure to, try to have, make sense in the realm of the film to explain that, hey... There's not going to be a lot of... There might be some collateral damage building-wise, but there's not going to be a whole lot of human death.
Exactly.
They're trying to avoid it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, they're so terrible. How dare they tell you that, which is the one thing you bitched about.
Yep. Jesus, you can't fucking win. They wanted this to fail. They wanted to hate.
But I like him punching into space. I like... I do like they're nuked him from orbit. They quickly established that how the healing powers of Superman are ridiculous.
Oh my, he looked so great when he was ghouled out, and as soon as the sun touched his skin and he came back, I got chills.
Yeah, he looked very bizarre already. And I like how gruesome they made him look, actually.
Yeah, I know, right? That was corpse.
I really appreciate that. So, comes back, and that. So
I like Batman's immediate reaction of Alfred, I kind of fucked up. I'm super fucked up. I need the spear. I need the spear right now. Call Dick. Dick's not answering. God damn it!
Yeah, and sadly, Lois thinking she's doing a good thing about dumping the spear. The spear's dangerous.
As soon as she dumped it, I'm just they're really gonna need that in 5 minutes. Yeah. You should not be dumping that.
Yeah.
At least, hold on to it so that it doesn't get into the wrong hands. But I'm pretty sure you can give it back to Batman now.
Yeah. So Bruce doing the right thing, where he knows there's where the spear is. He knows it's kind of an abandoned area. Yeah. He can't just let Doomsday roam around. So he's
being a goddamn hero.
He makes sure to follow him back, and then Doomsday fucks up his cool bat plane. So I like when the bat jet
Batwing
crashes, and Doomsday is gonna fucking vaporize.
Oh shit.
Oh, apparently that was an improv line, which is perfect.
It was hilarious. I loved it a lot.
And then Wonder Woman shows up.
The scene that made my theater lose its mind.
Same, both screenings of mine. People fucking really dug that.
It's so perfect, too. She blocks this insane heat vision that we've been shown is mega powerful. And then you got the fucking electric guitar, and then you see her eyes. It's just oh, it's so perfect.
Got the cool sound wave stuff when hitting the bracelets. Got the sword and the shield. Got the fucking lasso. That was fucking badass.
Why'd you bring him back to the city? It's abandoned. All right. He's from another world. I've killed things from other worlds before. Oh my god, I love you.
Getting in there fucking kicking ass.
Oh god, it's so good. The Wonder Woman is perfection in this film.
You are immediately a better character than Black Widow has been in 3 films.
Yeah! Right? Fucking right?
Oh, 4 films, I guess.
4 films, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's actually useful and not just, useless. Although I guess technically she kills Superman.
Yep.
She fucking cut off Doomsday's arm. Like a badass.
Fucking badass is so good. Oh god, I mean another one of my favorite moments during the final fight, aside from just Wonder Woman and like a period, is the moment of Batman watching Superman and Wonder Woman fight Doomsday, and just like there's nothing I can do right now. I am literally useless. Just like I don't belong here. And then he still does something. You know, he uses his last kryptonite grenade. You know, he distracts. I mean, he is vital in helping Superman get the death blow. They
worked as a team.
So I do know what. Yeah, this was definitely the Trinity working together. I don't want to sound like I'm making Batman sound useless, but there was a moment when he was, and it was hilarious to me.
Yeah, he's doing the best he can.
I'm doing the best I can, guys.
So, obviously, the culmination of this fight scene, I liked it.
Superman saving Lois was great, and like the last moments he has with Lois was, I thought, like really beautiful. Especially because, like, he's seeing Wonder Woman struggle with Doomsday solo, which is fucking great. You know, this giant monster Wonder Woman's like, I don't fucking need you guys, I'm fine. Puts him in a lasso, just holding him in fucking place. Mm-hmm. And Superman being like, I gotta do this, because, you know, I do owe this world something. I owe you everything, because you're my world. Mm-hmm. And then fucking stabs him. And then it's the badass, you stab me, but I'm gonna pull your claw deeper into me, so that I can stab you more, which is always cool.
Yeah. To which Superman dies. The Christ-like figure has died for our sins.
Yep. Give him a few days.
People got mad again that there's Christ-like imagery in a film about a Christ-like figure. Hey, guess what? That's nothing new.
No.
Superman has had Christ-like imagery forever. Don't get mad at Zack Snyder for going that direction and using it.
I do think that the first thing they should have tried was put him in the sun. One kid in my theater after the movie said, why didn't Wonder Woman just punch him into space? Which I laughed at, and then I went, actually, that would probably work.
Well, in their eye, they
don't know that he healed from a nuke.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think they know fully. And at the same time, he took a giant spike through his chest.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming back, guys.
I mean, he's healing up.
It took Superman in the comics quite a while to come back.
I think it was like a couple months.
Yeah. So, obviously, we get the funeral in Smallville, the empty coffin in Washington, a lot of monuments, a lot of discussion. Everyone's pretty upset. Then it comes down to this. Now, this is where obviously, we're going to wrap up our positives, go into some slight negatives. This is where I think I would have preferred the scene with Diana and all the metahuman information be put more towards the end of the film than where it was in the film. Mm-hmm. That was my slight bit of my major kind of clip with the film. Not a super big thing, but I think it would have been placed better here than necessarily where it was in the film.
The only issue with that is that this is a Diana who, much like Bruce, has given up hope, and like Superman is the one that like kind of reignites the hope in both of them. But what ignites her back into action and no longer shying away from the world of man is that email. Like, and if it wasn't for that email, she wouldn't have showed up in the fight with Doomsday.
I guess I didn't think about it that way. That's a good point.
So like I can agree with people that the scene is a little bit jarring, but I just think it's DC doing their version of Marvel's post-credit scenes. Instead of all of the fucking Easter egg shit being after the credits, they're gonna toss that sort of stuff like kind of like in the middle of the fucking movie.
Yeah, which this film had no post-credit scene, which I actually really liked.
Me too.
Because maybe if they keep doing that, that'd be their differencing thing. People are like, oh, the movie's over. I can actually leave now. I don't have to sit through all these credits.
I still did because I like reading the names.
I like reading cast names. I really don't read much beyond that.
I like seeing if I know any of the crew that worked on the film, because I know a lot of crew guys.
Oh, jeez. You know, man, jeez, bolster some more.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. I don't know if you know this. So that's one of the things where, like, I get your point, but for the story that was written, like, maybe there's a better way that they could have had Wonder Woman, like, reignite her drive to be part of the world. Mm-hmm. But in the terms of the story where it's placed to make sense for Diana.
Yeah. So, they bury him.
Also, I like that Lex Luthor made a little JPEG logo for all of the heroes.
Well, I assume, yeah, it's whatever department's working on collecting this information. Is
just like, one guy's like, I need to keep these separate. I see that this logo's on this guy's belt, so that's the logo for this file. Also, yep. I was not expecting to see Victor as a torso yet. that
Hey,
really...
that's part of the information there.
So, for sure, I was expecting him to become Cyborg in, like, the Justice League. I did not expect him to be just a torso and a head already. But hey, his dad already had what was obviously a mother box there.
Yeah, like, I like how they talk about it, like, oh, because it's at Star Labs,
Mm-hmm.
and he's saying, like, here we have this unidentified object that's activated, and he's like, he's apparently, from what from a couple, I have to pick up again, because I watched it, but, like, he's talking about how he's trying to use this thing that's activated, and let's see how this works, and it goes and does stuff. I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the little bit of Ezra, again, a little more Ezra Miller as the Flash in that little scene. Then we get the fucking Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
That was a negative for me, because it looks like he's going to poke the camera like 6 times before he finally does.
What's this like? What's this? There's like, ah! Then he gets in and he, like, fucking speeds
Him
off.
swimming was cool as shit. It felt like 5 fucking minutes for that to happen.
And they'll figure it out.
Yeah, whatever, it's fine, but that's a negative for me, was his scene was the... and strong, but it was kind of silly when it started.
But back to the kind of end of the film.
Yeah, sorry.
They bury him, Lois dumps some dirt, we get a kind of Bruce is talking to Diana.
Men are still good.
Kind of
great monologue.
Yeah, I like that whole end. But we also get like kind of a flashback to where he clearly, before doing all this, visited Lex in prison.
Oh, so good. Oh, so good.
And then we get some hints that Lex knows that Darkseid is coming.
Mm-hmm. Also, that's the visual scene where it's established that Batman is no longer a cruel asshole. Because he doesn't
go ahead and brand him. Nope, it doesn't. He punches the walls like, you motherfucker.
I'm gonna keep an eye on you.
It's like safe. Don't talk to anybody except order hot dog. So, and then obviously the film, like, last second is seeing some dirt rise off of Clark's grave, so it's the idea that he's obviously coming back. I like the fact that given what's coming, I assume we will not see Superman again until the Justice League film.
For sure.
Which I think is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Give time people to kind of get...
Well, I mean,
think about
the only movies between this and the Justice League film is the Suicide Squad, which he didn't need to appear in anyway, and Wonder Woman, which takes place 100 years ago, so...
Yep.
So, yeah.
But even then, that's Justice League Part 1, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Part 1, yeah.
Yeah, so for all we know, it won't be very... There could be like, no. I will say, like, my biggest thing I liked about Dawn of Justice is that they killed the main character.
Yeah.
And even though they left you with a little tease that he's coming back, they ended the film killing... What superhero film does that?
Yeah.
You don't see a fucking movie where Spider-Man just gets killed.
Yeah, definitely the first superhero movie that has done that, because even fucking The Dark Knight Rises didn't have the balls to leave Batman dead.
No, yeah, my biggest criticism about that film, which I still generally like the film, my biggest criticism is that it should have ended with Alfred just doing the nod, and then the film ends there. They didn't need to show you Christian Bale's Batman. I think if the film would have ended there and not had like the stuff with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think a lot of people would have left that film a lot happier. I
still would have overall not liked the film, but the ending of the film definitely made what was building up to be at least like a solid ending fall apart.
Yeah, that's my biggest criticism.
My favorite implication of The Dark Knight Rises is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt dies the first night he tries to be Batman, because he doesn't have any training. He has, like, none of the resources.
He's a cop. He had cop.
He's a rookie cop.
No, he wasn't. He's like a detective.
Sure he is.
He had, like, a suit and everything. He was a detective.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, eat my dick. We kind of mostly had positives there. We had a couple negatives sprinkled in. Were there any other major negatives of the film you wanted to discuss before we get into our kind of like repercussions for this universe?
I will say that one negative that I have with the film is I do feel that they really milk the death of Superman too fucking much. You know, a character that we know is going to be back because they've already publicly revealed the Justice League concept art with Superman there. Like, there's no question Superman is going to be on the Justice League. So I think, like, spending 20 goddamn minutes on his funerals and stuff was a little bit ham-fisted.
A little bit. Could have been tightened up.
That's all I mean. Like, I'm not saying that, like, he should have died. I'm not saying that they didn't need to, like, act like he was really dead aside from the Dirt Rising, but that could have been tightened up. You know, it's not like there's been, like, 6 Superman movies and they're ending it like this and there's no news on the next Superman movie.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair criticism. I see your point on that for sure.
I'm not a big fan of how cruel Batman is. It works for the story, so it's not affecting my opinion. But there's definitely a few times where I'm like, Jesus Christ, Batman.
I dug it. It felt like I've said before. I was like, this is 20 years in Batman.
Again,
this is Batman after seeing a god.
I overall dug it. There's just a few instances where it didn't sit right with me. But again, even those instances fit in this story. Yeah. And even the worst example of him shooting a fire tank to kill a dude with a gun, potentially kill a dude, most likely kill a dude. Even that instance, which is the worst crime in the film of Batman killing someone, is way less offensive than anything the Burton Batman did, or even the Nolan Batman with Ra's al Ghul. Because, like, it was urgent, the odds were high. Like, if he didn't do that, Martha was dead, and he had to save Martha. You know, not only, like, the flash forward that he saw was in his brain, like, what if Martha was the key this guy was talking about, but also, like, I'm not gonna let another Martha die. Yeah, you know, like this. I'm going to redeem myself by saving this Martha, as opposed to the Nolan Batman looking at a dude that he has beaten and is of no threat and just saying, "I don't have to save you," and leaving. Way less offensive.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree on that. So he had this one dire moment. He's like, the guy's like, "I'm a killer." He's like,
I believe you."
Yeah, and fucking just shoots tank, blocks, protects her, and. That's that. I think that was a justifiable homicide.
I'm a friend of your son's. I figured.
That was a good joke.
That was a good joke, yeah.
I laughed. That was funny. A lot of people in my theater laughed. But I think but I didn't have generally any really negative.
I mean, those are my main two. That's it.
Yeah. I could agree that maybe there could be a little tighter in some of the editing, but I thought everything flowed well. It's like, I thought the slow burn was great. I was really digging everything I was seeing. It was going through and everything. One slight criticism, like this again to editing, maybe is just how there's a scene, and I think this goes back more. Like I could see the side where it's like this haphazardly threw stuff together. But at the same time, everything has like there's this thread connecting everything. It's just not expressly telling you everything that's happening. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing we talked about. It's not holding your hand a lot, and it's just taking you on this journey through these like different things happening. I dug it. So I think my major negative I had was really just kind of placement for the metahuman stuff, and that was really about it. Otherwise, I thought the film from beginning to end, I really enjoyed it.
I will say that I thought that the Bat nightmare sequence, dream sequence, was kind of dumb. And didn't really add anything.
Oh, where he goes to the grave and jump. That I forgot. That is one of the things I did forget about that. So yeah, I guess that might have been a little too much, but I don't know. I like that they keep showing that he has these pretty fucked up nightmares and problems and things like that. But that also didn't that directly tie into the nightmare sequence in the future?
Not directly. No, I thought that was separate.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It just cut to him walking out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, okay, I could agree. That might have been one superfluous nightmare scene.
Yeah, that's the only one, though, because I thought the other ones were great.
Yeah,
I like in the very beginning, the moments of him flying upwards with the bats. I was just like, I think / hope this is symbolic and not literal. And then immediately he was just like, in the dream, I was like, okay, there we go.
Yeah, I think everyone immediately when the pearl fell from Martha's necklace down and hit Bruce, like, oh, this is
That's
dream.
What I figured, but there's always that chance. I'm like, oh, I don't know how far they're taking this weird universe.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. But so any other negatives?
Wasn't long enough because I wanted more.
Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to seeing the ultimate edition, the cut with the extra 30 minutes of footage. Mm-hmm. Look forward to seeing all that stuff. So, before we do our final thoughts and star ratings, I thought it'd be cool to kind of that's the thoughts on the DC cinematic universe going forward. I like everything we've gotten here. This film has obviously established a lot of breadcrumbs, a lot of little pieces on how things are going to develop from here on out.
But in a much smarter, better way than Age of Ultron did.
Or even Iron Man 2. Yeah. Wasn't as clunky as that. Now, obviously there's some stuff here, but obviously it's going to lead into Justice League, but obviously we're going back a little bit with the next two films. I don't remember exactly if it's been confirmed if Suicide Squad takes place before or after Man of Steel. I'm sorry, I keep saying Man of Steel. Well, I guess in that regards, yeah. Dawn of Justice.
I do think it definitely takes place after Man of Steel, but Dawn of Justice is up in the air.
Okay. Well, that's true, because even the trailer, they kind of talk about how there's more metahumans and stuff, so maybe it does take place after Dawn of Justice. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
But we definitely know Batman is in it from behind the scenes stuff when they've been shooting. Yeah. So we'll get to see a little more of Affleck as Batman.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
So we'll get to see how that goes in there. Obviously, I still think that a lot of the reasons why the Joker's teeth are all fucked up is because Batman beat them out of his face. Mm-hmm. So I look forward to seeing that. I think after this film, I'm expressly more excited for Suicide Squad. I think we said before, I'm just excited for the film because David Ayer wrote and directed it.
And it's just so different.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very enjoyable. I think that film's going to make a lot of money.
I think / hope so.
Not just because of, obviously, Joker Harley, but I think it's going to be really
which is going to help
catch with people. And I think it also helps that it was being made at before Deadpool came out, because I worry that the studio might have thought, okay, well, let's go for an R for this. I think them going for more of a hard PG-13, I think is going to work really well for them. And then after that, the only other film we have seen some stuff for is Wonder Woman, which a couple things we've seen, a couple images, stuff like that. I'm all for it. I've said before going into it, I really had a lot of faith in Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Yep. Everything we saw in Dawn of Justice was great. She's obviously packed on a lot more mass and looks a lot more
she looks fucking stronger.
Great. So I look forward to seeing especially that film being set during World War One. I think that the setting difference will be really cool, and I just look forward to seeing all the different Amazonian stuff and all that war stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that would also be a different film because that's not written by David Goyer or anything. It's written has his own crew, has a cool has a female director, which I know a lot of people are talking about. And all that stuff. So that'd be cool. So those are the next two things we have going forward. I think mid-April is when Justice League Part 1 goes into production. Mm-hmm. So that'll be... I'm sure we'll see some stuff for that come out of Comic-Con. I'm sure.
They cast Mira. And the concept art shows that she has red hair. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Mm-hmm. And there's been some more stuff showing that Momoa's Aquaman might have more blonde.
Yeah, clearly, hair. He had slightly blonde tips for his Dawn of Justice cameo, and the toys that already came out, or he clearly has brown hair. But I'm assuming Jeff Johns finally kind of put his foot down and said, "Look, guys, Aquaman needs to be fucking blonde." And even though he already made a small cameo in the film, they were just "Yeah, you need to be more blonde, Jason." So.
And then more news coming out. I guess Affleck is going to be working with Jeff Johns on something. A lot of people think that's going to be the Batman solo film.
Yep.
Which I think after this they should definitely. I don't know. I don't remember what the track for the films are supposed to be. But anything. I just look forward to. I think everyone is agreed that they are really looking forward to the solo Batman film. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone agrees also that it'll be better. And then whatever. I just say this because I think it's cool to have different people do different things.
I agree.
I think it would be best for the film not to have Zack Snyder or David Goyer working on it. Just because I'd like to see other people do something with this stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily want everything to be Zack Snyder 24/7.
Agreed.
So
I would be fine with Zack being in charge of the Justice League films.
Yeah, which I think he is. I think he is in charge of those, right? Yeah. I know a lot of people are really hoping they could bring back George Miller for that. Which, even if they just bring him back to do a film, it doesn't have to be the Justice League, just to do something else.
I'd be fine with the idea of having George Miller take over Superman.
Oh yeah, for sure. The third Man of Steel film or whatever, Superman film. I think if that was, George Miller doing that would be fucking great. Mm-hmm. I think George could do a lot of great things with that because George Miller's a great director. Yes, so, or even if anything, give him fucking, I don't know, the Flash film or something.
Yeah, anything.
Since we already have, the guy from Fast and the Furious.
The one doing Aquaman?
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Whatever. So we have we already have a lot of people set up for stuff. I don't think we have anybody set up for Cyborg or the Flash.
No.
If anybody knows about going fast, it's George Miller. So, wrapping up here, our final thoughts. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Final thoughts, Steve.
It's a great fucking comic book film. It delivers almost everything I feel people would want from a Batman v Superman movie. It's setting the breadcrumbs for the rest of the DC universe far better than Iron Man 2 did, and as I said, Age of fucking Ultron did. We already said that if Avengers was planting a couple seeds for the future of the films, Avengers 2 was a farmer on a goddamn plow, just seeding an entire field.
Well, Civil War is coming up. We can't have Hulk or Thor in it, so Hulk's just going to leave, and Thor has to go on his vision quest.
Yeah. I thought the Easter eggs were fine. There was enough stuff that, like, the general audiences could question without getting the full answers, but fans will be like, oh fuck, that's Darkseid right there, that's what this means.
Yeah.
I thought that the action was great, I thought that the themes were great, I liked the plot, I liked the subplots. I think the only subplot that went a bit far with little payoff was Lois figuring out that Lex framed Superman in the Middle East. I think that they spent a lot of Act 1 on that.
I like them giving Lois stuff to
I
do.
like Lois getting stuff to do, I just felt like the payoff from that was non-existent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I like Lois having stuff to do. I mean, because she is an important character that gets shit done.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really like it. I thought it was a good film. I don't understand the amount of negativity that's piling up so high against it, because I loved it, and I know a lot of other people that liked it a lot. I know people that hated Man of Steel that walked into this expecting more of the same and walked out saying that they really liked it. Or like Man of Steel got a 2 out of 10 from them, and they're giving this a 7 or 8 out of 10. I know other people that walked in expecting to hate it, and then were just like, oh, I really hated the first half, but as soon as Lex Luthor gives a senator a jar of piss and blows her up, the movie actually gets way better after that. Like a lot of people, more people like this film than dislike it, which a lot of the people that don't like the film apparently just don't like to hear. And I don't know why them disliking the film matters so much.
Well, because they don't like it, and they don't want to make sure you don't like it.
I mean, we didn't like Winter Soldier, and we definitely talked about it on our, worst movie of the year segment, but we didn't fucking, we didn't fucking make Facebook posts about it or shit on people that liked it.
No.
The one time I did that slightly was with The Dark Knight Rises, and even that was just in response to people yelling at me. And even then, I found myself saying, like, yeah, you know what I'm doing is dumb. I shouldn't be doing this. And then I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it. It was a good film. It was really enjoyable. It's not for everyone, I'll say that. If you don't like Zack Snyder films, you probably won't like this, but again, people that didn't like Man of Steel like this one, so I don't know. Go see it. Form your own opinion. Although we spoiled everything for you, so... Sorry.
Some people don't care about spoilers. Yeah. I've always said, just see it for yourself. Always try to form your own opinion. Because no matter what, like, if there's plenty of films I heard shit about, if I have an opportunity to, I'll still try it. If it was something I was interested in, but then it was deferred by, like, some people I respect not liking it, I might just not see it in theaters, but I'll see it when it's, like, available somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I always want to try to give some stuff a shot, because there's always lots of stuff I like that I just, find out later or something. Yeah. But final thoughts on the film, I think I mirror a lot of your thoughts. I guess... my final takeaway from the film is Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL together, when they are formed as a unit to do the score for the film, they produce great stuff.
Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot to say that. One of my biggest positives of this film is the score. This is, I think, possibly my favorite score in a superhero film ever. It was perfect. I mean, Lex's theme alone is everything that the character of Lex Luthor is. And then you got, like, weirder stuff that mixes it up, like, Wonder Woman's theme, Is She With You? Just the fucking electric guitar and the power behind that song, or even like Junkie XL's version of the Batman theme is just like clearly such a older, angrier Batman than what we're used to. Just, this top notch. I have to buy the soundtrack, I think, because everything was so good.
It was definitely good. And obviously Hans Zimmer's bringing back his melodies and stuff from Man of
Which
Steel,
I thought worked
really
great, yeah.
So as with my final thoughts, mirroring a lot of your stuff, I also really liked the film. So obviously there's some little things here and there, pieces throughout, but overall I thought it was very enjoyable, and I still, bring on more DC films. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to them. I like a lot of the universe, I like a lot of the characters, I like the films they're making.
Yep.
So here's to Suicide Squad, which I think we've all both said. I think I've said for a long time now that is the film I'm looking forward to the most, just because it's so different. Mm-hmm. And it's their third film into the DC universe, and they're making a film full of C-list villains that just maybe has like Harley and Joker, but most of it's just like crap.
Yeah.
For the mass populace's thoughts, and I love that. I get to see Captain Cold and Katana and Enchantress,
Captain Boomerang. Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I didn't say Captain Boomerang. My apologies. Captain Boomerang, just looking crazy, drinking beer, throwing boomerangs.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. He's already like so perfect.
Yeah, even from what little we've seen, I can't wait. Star ratings. Steve, what do you give Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice?
Before I give the star rating, in case anyone flips shit, the way I do star ratings is not always on a technical level. It's always based on my overall enjoyment of a film. So a 5-star rating is not me saying that it's a perfect film. It's how much I enjoyed a film, and I give Batman v Superman 5 stars.
I give Batman v Superman 4 stars. It's not something I would expressly say I loved, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. I'll watch it over and over, but my gut gives it a 4.
Which is fine.
That's usually how my star ranks go. Because if I give a 4, don't make it seem like I'm saying it's a piece of shit. 4 is just 4. I gave Man of Steel a 4.
4 is still a great score.
Yeah, that's just... Yeah.
4 is a great score.
I feel like off of your thoughts, I feel like if I'm not saying 5 as well, even though I gave all this film this praise, it always feels weird. But 5 is like RoboCop. This film's not RoboCop.
No, you're right.
It's not trying to be RoboCop.
It's not trying to be RoboCop. You know what tried to be RoboCop? RoboCop.
Yeah, and it fucking fucked
up real bad. That's why that movie's like a 2 out of 5.
Great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. I know, like, when we did Age of Ultron, that was a quickie, but since we kind of changed format to the show, it felt more appropriate, especially with this big of a film that we've been talking about. Jesus Christ, since we've talked about since the podcast started. It felt only appropriate to dedicate an episode to it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. If you did enjoy our discussion, that's fine. We said before, these films are divisive. Not everyone's going to like them. It's okay if you didn't like them. Just don't try to pull bullshit on us. I don't like that. I don't like when people try to say it didn't do something when it did. Like Man of Steel, I saw all the time people like, it didn't explain this. Yeah, it did right then. What? God damn it. So, but hey, if you have any discerning opinions or you just want to be like, hey, fuck you motherfuckers, email us at moviefilmswithbillandsteve@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook and on iTunes by searching out Movie Films with Bill and Steve. Subscribe us, give us a like. You can also find our Tumblr where all the episodes are listed. You can find them all there and looking nice and neatly at moviefilmswithbillandsteve.tumblr.com. And of course, I am on Twitter at LovableBill.
And of course, if you want to check out my films, I like Batman v Superman, so obviously my films must be pieces of dog shit. So you should rent them to judge that. But they are at silverspotlightfilms.com or facebook.com/silverspotlightfilms.
Fantastic. As always, guys, I've been Bill.
I've been Steve. And Bill, do you bleed?
I wouldn't even call this a flesh wound.
You will.